and welcome to episode 86 of the Giddy Knits podcast. As always, I'm Helen and I'm coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 7, and Jasper, who is 4. Today is Sunday the 7th of February, and as always, this is my crafty podcast where I talk mostly about knitting, but also about other crafts that I might be working on, occasionally a bit of cross stitch, occasionally a bit of crochet, and yeah, things like that. For anyone that doesn't know, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns. And yes, this is my crafty podcast. I usually say those in the other order, so it didn't quite flow properly. Let's just admit that my introductions never go smoothly. Right, hello everyone. Welcome back to anyone that watches regularly, and hello to anyone that is new and checking out the podcast for the first time. What have I got for you this week? Well, I'm going to start off as always with a little bit of admin-y section, talk about our make-alongs that we've got running at the moment. I don't have any finished objects, but I do have some works in progress that I'm going to talk about. I've got a couple of new cast-ons to talk about as well. I'll have a little bit of blanket progress, a tiny bit of yarny goodness, although that kind of plays into one of the new cast-ons because I couldn't resist temptation when it arrived. And then I'm going to finish off with a little shop news section as well, just a little update about what's happening in the shop this month, basically. Yeah. First off, I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone's very lovely comments with regards to the chaos of last week's episode and the chaos of my children. Yeah, you all made me feel so much better about it. It's just chaos at the moment, isn't it? With everybody stuck at home all the time, it's really, really hard to find space away from everybody that you live with to do anything. So yeah, hopefully this week we shouldn't have interruptions. They are all currently downstairs playing computer games and well and truly occupied. So fingers crossed there are no arguments over slinkies this week. Oh, my tea is still far too hot. It's going to have to stay on the windowsill for a little bit. Right, okay. Have I said everything I wanted to say for the introduction? Probably not, but anyway. Show notes for the episode. Anything that I talk about, I will pop in the show notes that are in the drop-down box underneath the video. And I will try to link to everything that I talk about as well. But as always, if you've got any questions, if I miss something off the show notes, if I forget to talk about something, then just drop me a message. You can get in touch with me on Instagram, Ravelry, email, any of those places. They will all have been on the screen at the very beginning of the episode, but they're also all down below, so you can find them. Right. Oh, I felt like a proper professional person then for a minute. Admin. Let's start with some admin, shall we? We have got 2 make-alongs running at the moment. As always, there is the Giddy Yarns make-along, which is my year-long, ongoing, longer than a year long now, make-along, where any projects that you are working on that uses at least 50% Giddy Yarns is completely acceptable. Doesn't matter when you started it, as long as it's finished this year, then you can enter it. And as always, I'm drawing quarterly prizes, so the next prize draw will be at the end of March. All of the entry details can be found in the drop down box down below, but we have entries available on Instagram and also on Ravelry. And then our shorter term make along that is currently running is the Wrapping Up Those Whips make along. So basically any project that you started pre-2021, so any project that was started last year or beyond, is eligible for entry. You just have to get it finished by the end of February. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it really. We have got, again, Ravelry entry there. The links to the Ravelry threads and the Ravelry group and everything are down below. And you can also enter on Instagram with the hashtag Wrapping Up Those Whips. I can't talk. Wrapping Up Those Whips, MAL. And again, I'll make sure that that's on the screen for you so that you can see it. Yeah, how are your projects coming along? How are your whips coming along? There's some great finished objects popping up in the Ravelry group. And yeah, it's looking like a lot of people are getting really, really motivated. I'm really hoping to get my August Adventure socks and my Vertices Unite finished by the end of February. They're kind of my focus for the make along. So hopefully this will encourage me to get some of those whips done too. Right, as I said, I've got no finished objects this week. I feel like this week I've spent a lot of time doing little bits on lots of projects. Do you get those weeks where you just kind of feel like, oh, I'm going to pick this project up and I'll do like an hour on this and do a little bit on this, and then, oh, I just fancy 5 minutes on this one. And yeah, it's been one of those weeks. Lots of little bits of progress on lots of different projects. But that's kind of fun. And as one of my friends said to me, that does mean that all of a sudden you get like a little flurry of finishes because you've put in lots of work onto lots of little things, so they all kind of finish at the same time, which is always quite exciting. So hopefully that'll happen, and then in a couple of weeks' time I'll have an episode and it'll be FOs galore. We'll see. Anyway, works in progress, seeing as I have no finished objects. I have been working on my Autumn Adventure socks, and I have finished. They're always tangled up when I get them out of the bag. I have finished the foot of one sock, which was what I really wanted to do this week. I think I talked in last week's episode about the fact that I was starting to set myself little crafting goals each week. And one of my crafting goals last week was to get the foot of one of these socks finished. And I did it. So here they are. Excuse this little... This is where I knit in the end when I was changing the colours for my heel. But it's obviously just popped through to the wrong side. So I just need to pull it through to the other side and it'll be fine. But yeah, we have one foot finished. So this just needs a toe. If you are new and you've not seen these before, although I'm sure most of you are sick of seeing them, I cast these on Christmas Eve. They were my Christmas Eve cast on. And I'm using, the yarn is from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. It was part of a kit. You got the project bag, whoops, little project bag, and the yarn, which were matching. And the yarn, the colourway for the yarn is called Cozy and Joyful. And it's on her maroon, is it on her merino nylon base? I think it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a 75-25 merino nylon. So a really, really good workhorse sock base, really. And the pattern that I'm using is the Autumn Adventures sock pattern by Jessie Marie Makes, which is this lovely kind of ribbed, it's a really, really, really good pattern. It's a 2-row pattern repeat, so it's really easy to remember. And I'm really enjoying it. It'll be really interesting to see how the fit is, because obviously being a kind of rib, it's quite stretchy. But yeah, one sock to the toe, and I'm going to do the toe in the same contrast as I used for the heel, which was part of the set. But I'm not going to do the toe until I finish the foot of the second sock, because I am working these concurrently, as I intend to do with all of my socks this year. I am working them concurrently. So this one has got the heel in, but I have not done much more than the heel. So I think one of my goals this week is to get the foot of this sock finished. That would be really, really good. But they're coming along. They are coming along slowly but surely. And hopefully by the end of this month, I will have a finished pair of socks. I love this yarn though. I mean, look, how pretty is it in the cake? It is such gorgeous yarn. Debbie is a dyeing genius, but not in the actual dyeing sense. You know what I mean. We have a lot of jokes in this household about dyeing versus dyeing, because the number of times I will turn around to Tom and say, oh, I'm dyeing today. And there'll be jokes about, oh no, don't leave us. Well, what would we do without you? Yeah, lots of eye rolls and lots of dyeing jokes. I'm sure any other indie dyers out there watching this will have exactly the same jokes going on in their household too. My tea is still too hot. Right, so that is that work in progress. I will pop it up there actually, so I don't end up with a complete mess. What else? Vertices Unite. I have done a tiny bit on my Vertices Unite. Again, this is a project that I really want to get finished this month. Living in one of my lovely bags from Jem at the Little Grey Girl. And I am on the final section of this. If you are new, this is the Vertices Unite, which is a pattern by Stephen West. I chose to knit the large size, so it is a pretty massive shawl. As you can see, you can't even quite see the end there because of the way it is a pretty massive shawl. But I am, on the final section. Let's see if I can get these needles sorted. Is this the right side or the wrong side? This is the right side. So as you can see, I have started the final section, but I really haven't done a lot. I think I've done about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 or 11 rows on the final section. But at least it's started, and it is a section that uses short rows. So actually the rows are getting shorter as I go along it. So really, if I actually sat down and focused on this, I would get some time done. We haven't really had very good evenings this week. We've having a lot of issues with the boys going to sleep at bedtime, and we had exactly the same issues in lockdown 1 because they're just not tired enough. They're just spending all their days doing, you know, very little while Arthur's doing his homeschool, I'm working, Jazzy's just playing with his toys. They're not doing as much as they usually do when they're both, I mean, Jasper does full-time nursery. He gets his 30 hours free from the Scottish Government, so he does full-time nursery, and Arthur's obviously at school, so he's at school full-time. So normally they're tired when the evening comes around and they're ready to go to sleep, but unfortunately, with lockdown and being stuck at home all the time, that isn't happening, which means we're having a lot of nights where they're actually not asleep until 10 o'clock at night, which really kind of interrupts your evening when you just want to sit, put Netflix on, relax and do some knitting, and you can't because you have to keep going up and down the stairs all evening managing children. Anyway, random rant about, I don't even know what that rant was about. I don't know whether it was about my children or whether it was about lockdown. I don't know. Anyway, so it's just one of those projects that I keep wanting to pick it up, and then our evenings are getting interrupted, so I'm not really getting to focus. So I've been working on easier, smaller things. But fingers crossed, this week I will make more progress on this. I won't talk about the yarns this week because, again, I've talked about them in previous episodes, and I will share them properly when I finish it. But yeah, some progress has been made. I've started that section now, and that was kind of like a little hurdle to get over. Now that section is started, hopefully I will get a bit more done on it. What else have I got work in progress wise? I've written down blanket. Which blanket? I've got like 6 of them on the go. Actually no, I decided I'm not going to share that this week. I had intended to. The reason I've written it in the show notes is because I was going to talk about the blanket that I'm making using the quadrille pattern and using the minis from my Marvellous Monthly Minis Club. But actually I'm going to leave that for next week, because if I share it next week, then hopefully I will have finished the square. I've only got one more section to do, and hopefully also I'll be able to share it in colour. So I think I will leave that for this week, and I'll talk about that next week. But I am really enjoying the pattern, and it is coming along really nicely. While I'm talking about the monthly minis, the pre-orders for the monthly minis are still open. They're open until the 15th. So if you fancy it and you haven't signed up yet, or you signed up for last month and you haven't made a decision as to whether you're going to sign up for this month again, then you've got a little bit of time. Right, what else? New cast-ons. I think we are moving on to new cast-ons. And I have got 3. 3. That's not 3. 3 new cast-ons to share with you this week. Okay, I'm going to leave that one till last because it ties into Yarny Goodness. So, washcloth. I nearly said wash bag then. I'm not knitting a wash bag. Washcloth. As I mentioned last month, I have signed up to the newsletters from Garlene at the Kitchen Sink Shop, and she is doing a year of free dishcloth patterns or washcloth patterns. You sign up to her email. I will link to her Instagram down below, and then the link to her email sign up is in is in her Instagram. Yeah. But I knit the Icicles dishcloth last month, and this month's was released on the 1st of February, and I have cast it on. Although now I'm looking at it, I'm wondering if I actually missed a row at the beginning. But anyway, I have cast it on, and it is this wonderful fun little lace heart pattern. So I'm probably nearly halfway through this one, I think. I think it's 3 repeats of the heart lace. The thing I was just looking at is I wonder whether I was supposed to have done 6 rows at the top here instead of 4. I probably was, but at the end of the day, it's a washcloth, so I'm not going to rip it out and repair that. But yeah, it's coming on. I am just using the last of the Women's Institute yarn that I have got. In fact, talking about this yarn, I shared a couple of weeks ago, this is the one that I've been using, Women's Institute. It's an Aran weight yarn from Hobbycraft, although it doesn't seem to exist anymore. I had a look on the Hobbycraft website, and yeah, it doesn't seem to exist anymore. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, I had bought some yarn from Bar in Stonehaven. I'd ordered some with the intention of using it for washcloths, but when it arrived, it wasn't quite the type of cotton that I'd intended it to be. I think is it a mercerized cotton, somebody said to me. So I'm pretty sure that it's not really going to work for washcloths, but I think what I'm going to do is I'll hold on to that because it's perfect for kind of amigurumi projects, and I know that there are things that Arthur wants me to make, and having made a couple of little things last year, I really want to give it more of a go again. So I'll hold on to those to use for that, and I think once I finish this washcloth I might order some more. A few people made suggestions on that video as to what yarn I want to get for cotton, for washcloths, so I'll order something different for that. But yeah, a little bit frustrating, but not a big issue, my own fault. But yeah, this is the, I forgot what she called it now, is it the Amour? I feel like it's the Amour washcloth pattern. I'm not 100% sure. If I've got the name wrong, then apologies, but it is this lovely heart lace, perfect for February. But I need to get on with this. It's quite a simple pattern, but I just haven't got it done. It's one of those silly things, isn't it? You could just sit down and do it, it would be done, but I keep getting distracted. But it's in progress, so that's good. Right, and then the other new cast on I have is a pair of socks, because I have been saying that I had this yarn caked up for absolutely ages. This is the Opal yarn that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. It is the Opal Fairy Tale, and it's the, I've lost the colourway name, the Elfenlaken, that one there, which, having put through Google Translate, means elf laugh or laughing elf or something like that. So yeah, it's a pretty standard sock yarn base. It's a 75% wool, 25% polyamide, which is kind of the nylon equivalent, or is polyamide nylon? It's basically the same thing. And I've cast these on for the SCR1TNO podcast, Sharon's podcast. She's running a stripy sock knit along throughout the year, and each month she's allocated certain stripy dyers or commercial yarns, and if you knit socks using that dyer in that month, then you get an extra entry, and February is Opal as the commercial sock yarn. So I thought I would cast these on and get these knit, and again I'm getting so tangled up. Cast these on and get these knit for February. So as I said, I am trying to knit all of my socks concurrently, so I have cast on 2 ribs. You will notice that they do not match. That does not bother me. With commercial sock yarn, I am never overly worried about them matching, so I purposely didn't bother to match them, and yeah, it won't bother me in the slightest. So yeah, I've got the cuff of this one cast on, and I've got the cuff of this one cast on, and I've just started doing a little bit down the leg. I'm just going to knit these as vanilla socks, just kind of nice and easy to pick up, and whenever you've got 5 minutes to just add some work to a sock, that's what I'm going to do. But hopefully, I mean, I'd like to get these done this month so that I can enter them in, enter them into the make along, but we'll see how it goes. If not, I can still enter them in March. I just only get 1 entry instead of 2 entries. Right, and then I have got one more. See if this tea's cooled down yet. I have got one more new cast on to share with you, but it ties in with Yarny Goodness, and it's the only Yarny Goodness I've had this week. So I won't have a Yarny Goodness section, I'll just talk about it now. And this is almost, well, it's not a finished object at all. It's a partially finished object. I got a bit carried away. So I signed up, as I mentioned, I'm sure I've mentioned this a number of times, I signed up to a yarn club from the lovely Erin of Henny Penny Makes, and she is doing a colour therapy yarn club throughout the year, and the idea is that each month is dedicated to a specific colour. Sorry, I'm just trying to sort the box out so I can show it to you. Each month is dedicated to a specific colour, and Erin is a trained colour therapist, so she's also providing a little bit of information about the colour, and kind of a bit of information about the colour. Okay, for some reason my phone decided that it was going to stop recording because it wanted to tell me it wants to do a software update. I don't want to do a software update right now, I want to keep recording. So I'm not 100% sure where I was, but you get a little card each month with a little bit of information about the colour of the month. And the January colour was pink. And these are all the lovely little minis. I went with the scrappy option, which is 10 5-gram minis on the little scrappy bobbins. It was brilliant, actually, and I'm so glad I chose it because I was able to literally open the box and cast on straight away. I didn't have to wind any yarn up or anything. And yeah, so you get 10 kind of minis themed around pink. And what I'm making is I have decided to go with a stitch in time blanket. I haven't woven the ends in yet, but I have actually finished the whole block for the month. So this is the block. So what I am going to do is each month I am going to crochet, I'm going to knit up even. I'm going to knit up 9 of the minis into a little stitch in time blanket. I'm going to border each of these. I think I'm just going to border it in an undyed white. I'm going to border each of these, and then at the end of the year they'll all get joined together to create one blanket with each block kind of one colour basically. So I'm really pleased with this. I love how it's come out. I love the kind of colour blocks. As I said, I got a bit carried away. This was just so fun to work on with the little bobbins all ready to go and everything like that. It was so much fun. And I'm really excited about this project. I'm hoping that I can keep up with it each month. So each month I'll be able to create my little block. I haven't decided whether I'm going to try and border them all each month or whether I'm just not going to worry about that too much. But yes, one finished block for January. So February, I believe, is red. I have ordered it and I'm looking forward to seeing what Erin comes up with. But it's really fun. And then I do have one spare little mini, one spare little 5-gram bobbin left. And what I'm going to do each month, I'm going to keep this aside and then I'm going to cast on a pair of scrappy socks using the spare 5 grams, because I'll have, what's 5 times 12? I'll have 5 grams each month, won't I? So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. I'll have 60 grams in total at the end of the year. So I could actually quite happily get a pair of socks. Maybe I'll add a contrast for the heels and toes and cuffs. But if I do that, I could easily get a pair of socks, a little pair of scrappy socks out of those. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So this will get kept aside, and each month I'll pick one of the minis to keep aside to use for scrappy socks at the end of the year. Yeah. So as I said, that is from Erin, who is Henny Penny Makes. And if you are interested, I'm pretty sure she's got some spares of the January minis in her shop, and the February one is still open for pre-orders. I will be talking more about Erin in shop news at the end because we have a plan. Right, what else? Let me just tidy that away. Blanket progress. I'm going to be talking more about Erin right now because the other thing I was going to share is some blanket progress. And as you know, the main blanket that I've been working on, living in my lovely basket, is my Advent blanket, which I'm using the Advent calendar from Erin to make. So I have added the next row. Right, where was I? So as you've seen all of this, but I have now added the final row, the row that I had not added last week. This row down here with the stitch markers on, the lovely reds. So they have now all been added. And I am sticking very much to my 1 square a day with this, which I'm really enjoying. So I've got the next lot of colours are these yellows. I've crocheted one of my hairs into it. Oh dear. I always say that in the future, if anybody ever wanted to clone me, all they need to do is get hold of some of my knitting and they'll have loads of my DNA. Anyway, I've been crocheting up 1 square a day for these. So I've got 4 of this lovely bright yellow, and then I've got 3 of this kind of more golden yellow. And tomorrow morning I'll crochet up the final square of this, and then I'll get it all joined together as well. Obviously there are 7 days in a week and I need 8 squares for a row, so I don't quite get a whole row done each week. It's just going to shift a day each week, I guess. But I am really enjoying just taking that little time every morning and crocheting up my square. It's been really, really nice and really, really relaxing. And I'm making plenty of progress, so it's really, really good. I can't wait actually to get the next row in. And then I've completely forgotten what the next colours are. I've got them all. If I show you the inside of the basket, I've got all the spare. So I've got them all still in their bags from Advent with the numbers on, so that I can keep them in the order that they were in. So I've kind of forgotten what they are, which is really nice because it's like opening an Advent calendar all over again. I've also been making a little magic knot ball with the remains, so that will get used in a project later on as well. Right, let's pop that away. There we go. Right, what else? So that is my blanket progress. Right, so as I said, there's no yarny goodness, but there is some shop news. So that's pretty much all of my crafting content for this week, I think. But I did have a few things to talk about shop news wise. Right, what else? What do I want to say? Clubs, first of all. Clubs are still open for pre-order. So this month for the Once Upon a Yarn Club, which is inspired by stories by the Brothers Grimm, the Grimm's Fairy Tales. This month we are exploring Snow White. So that's really fun. I sat down and read through the original Grimm's Fairy Tale of Snow White. And do you know, a lot of these Grimm's Fairy Tales, I've never read the original. So it's been really nice actually to sit down at the beginning of each month and read through the originals and pick out a little quote for the post and everything like that. So I'm really, really enjoying it. But it's been lovely to see people knitting up the Hansel and Gretel colourway from last month. I have cranked out a sock tube of it on my sock machine. I'm so pleased with how it knit up. I just need to get some heels and toes and stuff in, and I will share that with you at some point when I actually get some heels and toes and stuff into it. But yeah, Snow White is available to pre-order until the 15th. And as I said earlier, the Marvellous Minis Club is available for pre-order as well, again up until the 15th. And same as last month, it's available on all the bases. So 10 gram minis, 20 gram minis, DK minis, and you can choose between a blanket box or a sock box. And with the sock box you get an extra 20-gram mini, which is kind of in a semi-solid coordinating colour, so you can use it for heels and toes and make scrappy socks. Right, what else? Yorkshire Yarn Fest. I completely forgot that I had signed up for the February Yorkshire Yarn Fest. So when I got a message from Sophie saying, oh, could you get this to me for Yorkshire Yarn Fest by this date? I was suddenly like, oh no, I'd forgotten completely. Minor panic, because I'd kind of thought to myself that with the kids off school and everything, I would just lessen my workload and I wasn't going to be doing any shows and it would be fine. Yeah. I'm doing Yorkshire Yarn Fest at the end of the month, but that's fine. I have a plan. I've worked out what I'm doing. It's going to be a lot more based around pre-orders this time, I think. But I'm going to be opening up all of my yarn collections for pre-order. I'm going to be trying to dye up as many of the mini bundles for those all of my yarn collections. I'm going to be trying to open up as many of the pre-orders for those yarn collections. I'm going to be, oh my goodness, none of that made sense at all, did it? Let's start again. I'm going to be opening up all of my collections. So the Bedtime Stories collection, the Flower Fairies collection, the Little Women collection, and all the Winnie the Pooh collection, although they're already up and open for pre-orders. They're all going to be opened up for dye to order. And I'm hoping to get the mini bundles associated with each collection dyed up as well, so that they will be available. The theme for the show is spring, so I'm planning to dye up some spring mini bundles as well, some spring themed mini bundles to fit in with the show theme. And I'm also hoping to get another set of gradient mini bundles as well, dyed up. So hopefully that will be the plan. We will just have to see how much of that I can get done before the show. Then the other thing that I have got is a special, exciting collaboration. So me and Erin, the dyer behind Henny Penny Makes, have decided we're going to do some quarterly collaboration boxes. So we're going to be launching them in February, May, August and November, I believe, something like that. We haven't quite worked out the timescale of pre-orders or anything like that. We need to have a little chat. It will all be set up and sorted by Yorkshire Yarn Fest. We're going to be launching the first box at Yorkshire Yarn Fest. But the plan is that what we've done is we have picked 3 dyes. So we use quite a lot of the same dye brand, and we've picked 3 dyes, so from the same brands, and we are both going to dye up a skein of yarn using only those 3 colours. And it'll be really interesting to see how it comes out with our different styles and how different the skeins will be. And then we're going to make it available so you can either get a set with one of each at 100 grams or one of each at 50 grams. And I love the idea of using them in like a stripy project. So you could knit a stripy hat using each of the skeins, or I'm quite tempted to do stripy socks using each of the skeins as well, just to have the contrast, because the colours should go together. Because obviously we've used the same dye brands, the colours should coordinate quite nicely with each other. But that's quite exciting. So I think maybe going forward with some of the later months, and I haven't said anything to Erin about this, so if you're watching this and I haven't said anything to you yet, then let me know what you think. But I think it might be quite fun going forward to open up the colours, open them up to kind of a vote or a suggestion on social media to see what colour choices people would like us to dye up. But we will see. So I've dyed up my colourway, and I will hopefully get the photo off to Erin and she can see it as well. But yeah, it's quite a fun collaboration. It's nice to just have a bit of an experiment. It's nice to just kind of say, right, we're going to use these colours. We're both going to dye something up. It's just going to be for fun, and there's no, yeah, I don't know. It's just really fun. So that's happening. And then finally, I am launching some Easter treat boxes. I really enjoyed the Christmas Eve boxes that I did back in December. I really enjoyed putting them together. They were really well received. So I thought I would do very similar for Easter. So I'm going to be launching them on Wednesday. I haven't worked out a time yet, but keep an eye on social media. And again, it will be very similar. So you'll get a choice of yarn base. I'm going to be doing sock sets in any of my yarn bases or just a single skein of DK. It will be inspired around Easter colours. There's a little inspiration picture on my post when I do the social media post. In fact, I could pop it up here, couldn't I? And you'll get, so you'll get the sock set or the skein of DK. You'll get 2 little Yankee tea light candles in kind of spring Eastery scents. You will get a little progress keeper, a little Easter themed progress keeper, a little Easter themed sweet treat, a sachet of hot chocolate, and I think that's it. Yeah, a little Easter themed sweet treat, a sachet of hot chocolate, a progress keeper, 2 Yankee candles, little Yankee tea lights, and the yarn. And it will all be in a nice little box. I won't be wrapping these boxes up because there's not really an Easter, or maybe I will. Maybe I could get some Easter wrapping paper. I could probably get some Easter themed wrapping paper, couldn't I, and wrap them up. I don't know, I'll have a think about that. But anyway, it's just a little Easter treat for you, and I really, really enjoyed putting them together. So I'm going to be launching them on Wednesday. They'll be open for 2 weeks for pre-orders, and then they'll ship out. I think I said they'll ship out on the 15th of March, so kind of 2 weeks before Easter. So hopefully they'll reach you in time. Anyway, I've been rambling and rambling and rambling. I've got loads of kind of plans for the shop, but it all feels a little bit slow at the moment because with the kids being at home. But fingers crossed, Scottish schools are talking about allowing children from nursery to primary 3, which covers both of my children, to go back from the 22nd of February. So fingers crossed my kids will be back in school and nursery, and that should be able to relax things a little bit, and I should be able to get a little bit more done. Anyway, I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you again next week, hopefully with a bit more knitting progress and hopefully with more time to chat. Yeah, see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.